All right, so 2022's Don't Worry Darling is directed by Olivia Wilde, written by Katie Silberman, Carrie Van Dyke, and Shane Van Dyke, and has a very star-studded cast, which I will get into in a second. But I'm going to give you some updates on my channel and posting schedule, and also just some personal updates as well. For the personal updates right off the bats, if I sound kind of weird or take a minute to say something or clear my throat, I have a bit of a cold right now. Don't worry, not COVID, but yeah, might take me a little bit to kind of say certain things, might have to clear my throat, might not sound pretty, but hey, I'm doing it live. I'm doing this review because I just got back from the movie theaters and definitely have to talk about this. But the other thing I want to mention about the channel is that my Andor reviews, for those of you who don't know, Andor is a new Disney Plus series set in the Star Wars universe. Came out with a 3-episode premiere. Haven't even started the first episode yet, but I'm debating on making individual videos for each episode or possibly just doing one video for all three. Not sure which one I'm going to do yet, but that should be coming out at least in the next couple of days. We'll really have to wait and see when I get through it. But yeah, let's get into the cast of Don't Worry Darling with all those updates and whatnot aside. We have Florence Pugh as Alice Chambers. Florence Pugh you should know from Midsummer, which I have not seen. Definitely need to watch that. Maybe around Halloween. I heard it's kind of a messed up film, so might end up watching that. But yeah, she's great in that. She's also Yelena Belova she was in Black Widow and also in the Hawkeye series. And I believe will also be in the Thunderbolts movie, so that's very cool. We also have Harry Styles in here as Jack Chambers, the role that was originally supposed to be for Shia LaBeouf, but after some controversy with him, which we'll talk about controversy in a minute, obviously he was taken off the project and Harry Styles was put in. And this is the first movie I am watching that Harry Styles has acted in. And I know he was in Dunkirk before, I believe, the Christopher Nolan film, which I will definitely watch at some point. But yeah, first time seeing him act wasn't too bad. I'll get into that in a minute, obviously. Harry Styles. I like him. I like his new album. Honestly, I like all his music, except for really the One Direction stuff. But I won't lie, even some of that I kind of listen to sometimes if I'm in the mood. Also in this movie, Chris Pine as Frank, who kind of runs the whole operation, which I'll talk about in a minute here without trying to get into too many specifics. But yeah, he kind of runs this whole project that's going on, and very mysterious, kind of creepy character. But yeah, Chris Pine, I mean, he played Captain Kirk, right? No. I forget exactly what his character name was in the Star Trek movies, but he was in those. Honestly, that's the first thing I think of when I think of Chris Pine is those Star Trek movies made by J.J. Abrams, which are honestly really good. So I like him as an actor, but what else was he in? He was in, I feel like I've seen him in something else. I mean, I know I have, but I'm trying to think of like the big things that he's been in. Yeah, I'm not going to waste too much time on that. But Olivia Wilde in here, the director of the film, also stars in it as the character Bunny. And she's kind of like the best friend to Alice Chambers in this movie. And I like her for the most part. She has a couple kids and whatnot. So, yeah. I mean, not like a huge major character in my eyes, but an interesting one. We have Kiki Lane as Margaret, who is a little off the rails when we see her in the film. And, I mean, over the course of the film, you kind of start to understand why, but that's as far as I'll go with that. She doesn't have a huge role in the movie, but worth mentioning for sure. We also have Nick Kroll as Dean, which I believe is the husband, excuse me, to Bunny in the film. And I mean, I like Nick Kroll. He does a lot of voice work for sure. In the very beginning of the movie, and this isn't a huge spoiler or anything, but they were like kind of partying and drinking and whatnot. And the way he was yelling, I was just like, oh my God, I literally am just hearing Big Mouth right now. But yeah, even he was kind of fun in the film. I liked him in here for the most part, the small amount of the film he was in. We also have Gemma Chan as Shelley, the wife to Frank. And Gemma Chan is an actress, well, actor, I should say, that I have seen in a few different movies. I think I've seen her in at least two, but I think there might be more than that. But I have seen her in the Eternals film for Marvel, which, funny enough, the song, Don't They Know It's You? Yeah, you know what I mean. That song is actually in this movie, so I was like, that's kind of funny. But yeah, she was pretty good in the movie overall. I mean, pretty much everybody except for Florence Pugh, Harry Styles, and Chris Pine, they don't have as much to do in the film, but they're there and they serve a purpose for the most part, I guess. But yeah, Gemma Chan in here. I also saw her in Crazy Rich Asians, which if you have not seen that, I would definitely recommend it. It's a great movie. I mean, most guys would look at that movie and not want to watch it, but it's worth a watch. I like it. So yeah, she's pretty good in the film. We have Cindy Candle. I think go number. I think it's Sydney Chandler. Um, Sorry, I think a bit of the text got cut off there. Yeah, so Sydney Chandler as Violet, which is one of the new wives to this neighborhood that they live in. Um, and her husband is played by Douglas Smith. He plays Bill. So they're the new couple to the neighborhood. We have Kate Berlant as Peg. We have Asif Ali as Peter. That's the other husband and wife couple. Pretty much everybody in this movie has a husband or a wife or vice versa. You know what I mean? Um, Everybody has a couple in here. There's couples that live in every house. Um, but yeah, Asif Ali is actually an actor that's had a smaller role as, oh shoot, what was his character's name? I don't know if I can remember his character's name. Norm. I think he played Norm on WandaVision. So it was cool to see him in here. Kind of a similar type of set piece in a way, because WandaVision kind of did the whole 50s kind of thing, which this movie seems to be going for. But at the same time, there's other times where it seems like it might be the 20s, and it's kind of hard to tell at times. But I would say like 20s, 30s is when this film kind of takes place, but it's very, I don't know, because they never specifically say it, and there's like elements of other time periods it feels like, and I don't know. That's as far as I'll go with that without like getting too specific. But yeah, then Timothy Simmons as Dr. Collins and Ariel Stachel as Ted, which is the husband of Margaret. But yeah, Timothy Simmons as Dr. Collins, one of the people that helped Frank, Chris Pine's character, develop this neighborhood and whatnot. Which oh shoot, what do they call it? Oh no, how could I forget the name of it? It's like the most important part of the movie is the name of this project they have going on, and for whatever reason, Victory Project. There we go. It's the Victory Project, which I don't know. There's yeah, I'm definitely gonna be like dodging around spoilers for this, but there's like so many interesting little things in here. Like the neighborhood reminds me of Nuketown from Call of Duty, kind of. Um, but I don't know. It's an interesting film to for sure, to say the least. There's a lot of like twists and turns in here, and I won't lie, there are some twists in this film that I saw coming, which isn't always a good thing, but at the same time, the twist that I saw coming wasn't the whole part of the twist. There were some added elements to it that surprised me, and I was like, "Oh my god, I didn't think that that was going on," but that's very interesting, and I like that. If I compared this movie to any shows or movies that I'm thinking about right now, it'd probably give away what this movie is. So like, I can't say because there's so many things that this movie reminds me of. And I really wish I could say what those things are, but if I did, it'd probably give way too much away. So the only thing I can compare it to without giving any spoilers away is the Twilight Zone. That's the only like comparison to any show or movie that I can make without giving anything huge away. Is that this movie kind of resembles an episode of the Twilight Zone a little bit. Just a little bit, kind of. There's so many other elements of so many different things in this movie, and you kind of see why because there's three different writers on this film. Part of me thinks that Olivia Wilde should have just tried to write the script herself, but who knows how that would have turned out. Not saying anything against her, but I think her only real prior experience was with Booksmart, which I loved. I love that movie. But those two movies, like Booksmart and this one, are two completely different movies. I think she might have directed another film before that. Can't remember what that would be. But she definitely need I wish she would have at least had a hand in writing the script for this. Because have it like two people at most, because once you add a third person to the writer's not category, but you know what I mean, like once you add a third screenwriter, that's the point where you get so many different ideas and some conflicting views as well, and you end up with kind of a hodgepodge of different things. Which, I mean, this movie didn't necessarily feel all over the place, but it also didn't not feel all over the place, if that makes any sense. Um, but yeah, let me look at a couple of my notes here. I only have a few, and then I'll kind of talk about some of the controversy, as much as I know at least, which really isn't much. But lots of creamy, lots of creamy imagery, lots of creepy imagery in this movie for sure. I heard this was going to be like a very sexual film. It wasn't as sexual as I was thinking it was going to be, but you know, there were some steamy moments for sure. Some moments that kind of resembled the montage in the first Deadpool movie to me a little bit, um, mainly involving a turkey, or I think it was a roast actually. So, but close enough. But yeah, lots of creepy imagery in this movie, and the thing I appreciate about it is that the imagery in this movie, while it's abstract and can be viewed as art, at the same time it fits with the movie that it's in, and it doesn't necessarily take you out of it, and just it doesn't feel like art over substance, which a lot of these types of films typically do feel that way. But I mean, there's people out there that can make these films intriguing, make everything connect and flow really well. I wouldn't necessarily say this movie has the best flow, and not everything connects, not everything's explained, but at the same time not everything has to be explained. So I don't know. There's some elements in here where I was just like, especially getting out of the movie, because it ends pretty abruptly and you don't get to see really what happens afterwards, which is fine. In fact, I would hope that you don't really get to see what happens after all the craziness. And I mean, some people really just want to be spoon fed a lot of information, and I can completely understand that. When I watch Christopher Nolan films like Tenet, that movie pissed me off and kind of put a bad taste in my mouth for Christopher Nolan, because in a lot of his films, he does not explain anything and just expects you to fill in the blanks, and also ends things so abruptly to the point where you're like, well, I don't really know what happened, so I guess I got to use my imagination. But I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that in a film like this. I would be interested to see where they would go with the sequel, but I don't think that's going to happen, especially surrounding the controversy that happened while filming and even after filming this film. But yeah, I would say it keeps you guessing till the end. That's what I wrote down, but it really doesn't. It kind of reveals things maybe in the last like 40 to 35 to possibly even 30 minutes. So like, you have like maybe a good 20 to 25 minutes of, for the most part, you know exactly what's going on. And now you're just seeing this character kind of just living through it and trying to figure out how to get out of it. So, I mean, it's interesting. I like the ending for the most part, and it definitely got people riled up. Like, this theater was so rowdy, like, not completely bad rowdy, but they were laughing at parts where I'm just like, okay, shut up, it's not that funny, just watch the movie. But there are some unintentional funny things in here, like a bunch of men running up the stairs kind of looked hilarious. There's some spots with Harry Styles kind of looking a little goofy, but there were a lot of women in there for sure, which makes sense because of the kind of movie that it is, but it also makes sense because, a member from One Direction is in the film, so of course there's gonna be a lot of women watching this movie. And yeah, it seemed like a majority of the audience was people either with their boyfriends that are like, oh my god, let's go see this movie, it looks interesting, I just want to go see Harry Styles. um and then the rest of them were just like groups of girls ready to watch Harry Styles be Harry Styles, and I hope they got what they wanted. But yeah, there were a lot of like laughs in the movie for sure, and parts where I wouldn't necessarily think you should laugh. But it didn't bother me necessarily. Other times it would, but the whole theater was laughing, so it was more of an interesting experience for me to see how everybody else was reacting to it. But there's some crazy shit that happened towards the end. People were fucking cheering like it was a Marvel movie. Like, the audience was, and this is one of the most packed movies I've been to in a while, probably since Thor: Love and Thunder, and so that's pretty much like 2-ish months there. I haven't been in a crowd like this for a movie like this. Maybe for Nope, maybe for Nope, because Nope, like Jordan Peele's directorial style, feels kind of similar to what they were going for a little bit in this movie. So I can understand like the emotional roller coaster that people were kind of on with certain elements of the film, but yeah, definitely a lot more reactions, like audible reactions, than I was expecting. So that was interesting. I already said that Chris Pine was creepy in this movie, but he was creepy as hell for sure. There's moments where he's just like looking at Florence Pugh, and I'm just like, dude, she has a man. Chill. Um, but yeah, there's obviously a big twist in the film, and I slightly predicted it. So slightly predicted it, but not every aspect of it. That's really all I have for my notes. So let's talk about the controversy. The only thing I really know about surrounding the controversy is one, the kind of Shia LaBeouf thing, which I don't know if the controversy was really about the movie or him. But then there's the whole Harry Styles spitting on Chris Pine, which I still don't know what to make of because it kind of looks like he spit on Chris Pine. I don't know. I really don't. Like, did he spit on Chris Pine? Oh, as I literally spit. Um, but yeah, did he spit on Chris Pine? I don't think that's the kind of person Harry Styles is because I've seen a lot of his live performances and he seems like a really genuine person. But just hearing about like, it sounds like it was just a scrap filming this movie. Like, and the entire time I was watching it, there were scenes where Harry Styles was with Chris Pine, and I was just like, I wonder what their actual like thoughts inside their head are because Harry Styles, it was a moment where he probably should have been like smiling and stuff, and he was celebrating, but at the same time, the way he was looking at Chris Pine, I was just like, do they actually have beef? I don't know. I don't know what other beef there was filming this movie between any actors or creators or writers or directors or whatever it might be. But I'm definitely gonna have to look into it a little bit more after recording this to like fully understand why there's so much controversy surrounding this movie. I don't necessarily get it, but hey, it worked well. I think it was good marketing for the film for sure. But yeah, comment down below. What do you think about the whole Harry Styles spitting on Chris Pine thing? Do you think it's legit? Do you think he like actually spit on him and meant to? Or do you think he spit on him and didn't mean to? Or do you think he didn't spit at all? Or maybe he did mean to, but he didn't spit. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But comment down below. Tell me what you think. Do you think he actually did that? I have no idea. I would like to think not. I mean, I like Harry Styles' music, especially his new album. Like, oh my God, I played that album to death. But yeah, I think that's about all I have to say on Don't Worry, Darling. It was a definitely an interesting experience, and I might have to watch it one more time to fully know how I feel about it. But as of right now, I'm kind of putting it at like a 7 out of 10 because the stylistic choices in this film of the set design and the design of the neighborhood and the outfits that they wore and the acting especially by a lot of actors in here was really good. Harry Styles, I don't know if I fully 100% buy him as an actor yet. While watching the film, I wasn't just like, oh, I'm just seeing Harry Styles right now. I mean, part of me kind of was, but other parts of me just kind of got lost into the plot and the way the characters interacted with each other. And I mean, there's definitely a lot to enjoy for me, at least, in this movie. There's a lot of intriguing elements. Is it going to be as good on a second viewing, having known everything that happens? I don't know, but at the same time, they keep it so open-ended to where maybe watching it again, you could form even more of an opinion on what might happen afterwards when it cuts to black and you see the title and the credits roll. So, I don't know. Will I watch again? I don't know. There's always so many movies out, so I rarely get to rewatch anything in the theaters unless it's Marvel, which I do that quite often when it comes to Marvel movies. I think Doctor Strange and Thor I saw 3 times in the theaters. Same with No Way Home. In fact, I think I've seen that 4 times now, including that extended cut that they released in theaters like a couple weeks ago. But yeah, I would consider rewatching this when it comes out on digital at the very least. But I really want to rewatch Nope. I've only watched that once. Had a not so great experience the first time, not because of the movie, just because of how I was feeling. I had a really bad migraine. So if anything, I'd probably be rewatching that movie first. That movie, I would say, I mean, this movie is kind of a mind fuck, but more than anything, all of Jordan Peele's movies are more of a mind fuck than this one was, to me at least. So, but that being said, I try not to compare too many things to each other. So I don't know. But I'm going to stop rambling now, especially since my voice needs to rest. I am not feeling great right now. My nose is stuffed as hell. Sinuses, ugh, feel awful. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Leave a like on the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. And also down in the comments below, have you seen Don't Worry Darling? Tell me what you thought. Please, no spoilers in the comments down below. I will ban you. I will do whatever I need to do to get your comment taken down because I will not tolerate that. But I would love to know your thoughts on it. Non-spoiler thoughts, obviously. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you in the middle? I'm definitely more in the middle. More towards enjoying it, but not loving it, not fully liking it even. I don't know. But I don't hate it by any means. So will it end up on my top 10 best for this year? Probably not, but it won't end up on my top 10 worst. Also, if you haven't seen the movie, are you planning on watching it? Comment down below. Tell me why or why not. And that's all I got for you. I will see you in the next one where I should be reviewing all 3 episodes of Andor or just the first episode. I told you before. You know the deal. So see you later.